Hillary cried. Hillary cried. Oh, I finally found my own voice. That's the reason. In 2004, oh yeah, it was millions of religious voters suddenly materialized. Nay, they multiplied like Jesus' loaves and fishes. They were all over the place. That's what did it. You'll pardon me for being crude, they pulled this out of their asses. There's no evidence for any of this. It's just false. There are nowhere near enough evangelicals to do that, and only a tiny minority of the American people were motivated to vote by moral values. Pew studied this, 9%. You know how many of the people voted because of gay marriage? 3%. Okay, so this is like a big lie based on wishful thinking. In 2000, it was Nader. Yeah, Nader. Nader did it. This is what I suggest, okay? 5 more minutes, and that's all I need. Repeal it. You know who wrote it? Bob Ney, right? Bob Ney. Bob Ney's making license plates now in federal prison. He wrote this. Steny Hoyer should be making license plates. Steny Hoyer is in the pocket of the voting machine industry. Okay. Now, I know we're moving toward optical scanners. You know, I know that's what Deborah Bowen wants. It's what the New York Times wants. I'm sorry, that's a secret vote count. See? We don't have secret vote counts in a democracy. So number 2, get rid of computerized voting machines, period. And move on to hand-counted paper ballots. It's gonna, I promise you it's gonna happen eventually. You put it to the American people, they're gonna support it by a large majority. 3, do you know that the voters' rolls are all computerized? The electronic databases on which you are registered are computerized? There was a piece in USA Today last month saying that thousands of Democrats have been knocked off the rolls from coast to coast. That one article, that was it. Get rid of the computerized databases. Keep all private vendors out of the election process. Okay, now, for the psychological front again, make it illegal for the networks to declare who won before the vote count is complete. Okay? Only in America, and I'm moving on now to number 6, only in America is the exit poll system not intended to help us check the accuracy of the vote count. Did you know that? If you ask the people in the exit poll, the private company, why are you doing exit polls? You know, that they say, well, it's to help the networks, you know, forecast. It's to help them get scoops. It has no corrective function. So get rid of them. No more. We need a publicly supported exit polling operation whose express purpose is to check the vote count, like in Ukraine, remember? 7, eliminate voter registration rules, okay? When you're 18, you're registered. What do you think of that? You like that idea? It's called universal suffrage, okay? I think it's a great idea. Okay, and we ban all state requirements for state-issued IDs at the polls. Do you all know about the Supreme Court and the Indiana law? Does anybody not know? Okay, Indiana passed a law requiring a state-issued photo ID of all voters. Its express purpose is to prevent poor, old people from voting. Well, of course, that's kind of what I meant. This is a Jim Crow law, okay? And it was written on the argument in favor of it was, well, we got to prevent voter fraud. You know, that's people voting 7 times, you know. Well, I don't have time to elaborate, but there is almost no such thing as voter fraud today. It's non-existent. So let's get rid of the laws, the Jim Crow laws. Put all polling places under video surveillance. See, we're under surveillance everywhere else. Seriously. So if we put the polls under surveillance, now listen, I don't have much time, no talking. If you put the polls under surveillance, you can use that as a way to check against voter fraud. You can also keep track of election personnel, make sure they're following the rules, And I think equally importantly, this is a way for us to see what the traffic was like, what the turnout was like. Because in Ohio in 2004, they were saying, oh, yeah, 6 o'clock, 10 million Christians showed up and voted. Well, let's look at the videotape, shall we? 10, make Election Day a federal holiday. 11, make it illegal for secretaries of state to co-chair political campaigns. Because, Ken Blackwell in Ohio did that. Katherine Harris in Florida did that. Jan Brewer in Arizona did that. That's insane, okay? And finally, a little tough love here. Make election fraud a major felony with life imprisonment and disenfranchisement for all repeat offenders. Okay? Now, I think the aim of this movement should be to make itself obsolete by seeing to it that the people find out what's going on and they take over this discussion. This is not something ultimately that we should be working out in private meetings with politicians and state officials. Ultimately, it should be up to the people. I know this is a quaint, kind of corny idea, but it should be up to the people to make these decisions. See? So, movies like Hacking Democracy, this is the work of God, okay? What we're doing here is the work of God. And ironically, we're up against a movement that often thinks that it's doing the work of God. I'm serious. A lot of the fraud and the vote suppression tactics that have gone on and that are going on right this minute are carried out by fanatically resolved people who believe that they're saving America and doing God's work. See? This is what the Nazis thought too. They didn't think, oh, we're just being evil. They believed they were defending against something. See? Well, we're not taking a paranoid view. We're taking a constitutional view. We're taking an Enlightenment view. We want to bring the country back to its first principles. See? And the only way to do that, is to have free and fair elections. I don't care what your issue is. I don't care if it's reproductive freedom, if it's gay rights, if it's the war, if it's Darfur, if it's the whales. It doesn't matter what it is. If you don't have the right to vote, you will make no progress. See? You're screwed. Without a viable democracy, we're really nothing more than vassals. Okay? We don't want to do that or be that. So I think we got to face the music and take the necessary steps to change the tune. Thank you.